What's up guys, Lifting here. In this video I'm going to showcase 5 powerful melee builds for Path of Exile's 3.1 War for the Atlas. Each of these guides are updated and relevant to the currently running Abyss League, and you can find a build guide for each individual build in the description below. So, Path of Exile melee build number 1 on the list is Ahfack's Crimson Cycloner. What this is a pure physical damage scaling Bleed Cyclone Slayer Duelist, capable of clearing any content in the game. The Cyclone skill is a classic in Path of Exile and has underwent a lot of changes along its path to where it currently is now, which has resulted in a very enjoyable, fun and powerful skill to use. And there's room for both the wealthy and the budget restricted exile in Ahfack's Cyclone guide. Besides, Ahfack have made some high quality guides in the past, and you should feel pretty comfortable putting your trust in his guidance. Coming up second on the list is ERAGON Samurai Jug, Oni-goroshi, Frostblades and Meatballs, all content with one hand build. With the introduction of Ancestral Call, people quickly figured out that Molten Strike and Frostblades would synergize, let's just put it pretty well, with this new support gem. Having Molten Strike delivering some of the best single target and Frostblades some of the best melee area clear speed available in this current version of the game. To further add to this, ERAGON decided to add in the completely new oni-goroshi Weep Sword to make it even more powerful. The build is played as a Marauder Juggernaut and can pretty much deal with all content the game has to offer. Just keep in mind that a Comb's Heart, Soft's Blood, Oscarm Gloves and oni-goroshi aren't exactly cheap. That said, you probably don't need all of these to begin with. Just keep it in mind. Coming up third on the list is DonGaldo's budget Ice Crash Inquisitor guide. Now, the video footage you see here is from 3.0, and that means you won't see it reflecting the area buff that Ice Crash got in 3.1, but well, it did, and it's now better. The build uses something as hipster as the one-handed Frostbreath mace, which has the unique property of dealing double damage to chilled enemies. And I must admit that if I hadn't seen it in action, I probably would just have dismissed it entirely as a viable weapon for this setup. However, I am happy to be proven wrong. With this build, DonGaldo has done anything up to and including the Shaper. So if you want something budget friendly, melee and still maintain your hipster status, then this might be for you. The fourth build on the list is by Krovax, and it is his Snowblind Cospriest projectile-based cast-on-crit assassin build. The idea here is to use the Cospriest Malice Sword to proc both Freezing Pulse and Frostbolt, while at the same time also having a cast-on-crit setup in your chest with the same gems for additional procs for that projectile galore sexiness. To make this work, you're also using 4 Threshold Jewels, 2 for Frostbolt and 2 for Freezing Bolts. Depending on your preferred playstyle, you can use Cyclone, Lacerate or maybe even Reef after its buff in 3.1 to proc the cast on crit effects of both setups. I mean, you can probably use other skills too, but these are just the typical ones you would aim for in this case. I recently played something similar to this as a Scion in 3.0, and it's very enjoyable. It's fast, it gets the job done, it can clear all the content of the game with the exception of maybe Uber Siri due to the Reflect, but I'm not really sure on that. But it can do pretty much anything. The only downside to this build is that the fun only really starts once you reach level 68, because it is at that time you can equip your Cospriest Malice, or it might be 69. Well, either of. And that is when, you know, the build starts to feel right. It's when it starts to feel fun. For leveling tips on how to get there, check the forum thread. The final and fifth build on the list is DARTHPWN's, which by the way is an amazing name, oni-goroshi Permaflicker Slayer. So yeah, I know we already have one oni-goroshi build on the list, but it doesn't really get more time relevant than that weapon. So I decided to feature another one. And while the guide isn't exactly in depth, the build looks solid, and Flicker, at least if your eyes can handle it, is a ton of fun. It's one of those types of skills that unless you actually control the character yourself, it looks impossible to keep up with what's going on. However, once you are the person behind the controls, it actually isn't that bad, and it is super fascinating how fast your brain adapts to the rapid changes on the screen. The more you play it, the easier it is to recognize what's going on. It might not be the best build to try out as a beginner though, or if you have a low budget, but if you feel comfortable in your Path of Exile knowledge and can afford it, then it looks like a ton of fun. Now, I know I said I would only feature 5 builds, however it simply feels wrong to not have a cheap and beginner-friendly Sunder guide included in the video. So for that reason I went looking for one for you. What I found was a Sunder or Earthquake guide made by 99ProSorg, which means you can use either skill depending on your preferences. Earthquake got a slight area of effect buff in 3.1, so that's worth taking into consideration too. This is a great build if you're looking for something to do on a budget, want to farm the Guardians or even Uberlap, and it's easy to level and overall just a very safe choice if you're in doubt of what else to try. Alright, that's it. 6 melee build guides for you guys to try out or get inspired by. I'd really love if you guys would comment below and share a link to the current build guide you're following and letting me know if you like it. And if you aren't following any guides per se, just humor us and let us know what build you are currently playing in Abyss League. Don't forget to subscribe for more Path of Exile content, turn on that bell or whatever it is. Come visit me on Twitch for that live action. The link is below. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?